Okay, so if you've been trying to figure out what's actually in the agenda for RootedCON Valencia, one of the big upcoming cyber events, well, you're in the right place. We got hold of an exclusive interview that breaks down the 11th edition. And our mission today, it's simple, really. We want to quickly pull out the main structure, find those really valuable training sessions, and pinpoint the talks that look most interesting. Basically, save you the trouble of digging through it all yourself. We'll tell you where the good stuff is.
Yeah, and that interview, it was great because the organizers were very clear about what they're aiming for this year. It's the 11th time in Valencia, happening September 25th and 26th. But what's really interesting, right, and kind of crucial for anyone thinking of going, is how they're splitting the days. They're really insistent on this clear separation. It's not just random.
Okay, let's unpack this then, because that split sounds like it's the key to really getting the most out of it, those 2 days. What makes this 11th edition structure so useful for someone attending?
It really comes down to the focus of each day. Day one, that's September 25th, is purely for what they call formaciones. Think deep dive training, workshops, hands-on stuff, highly technical. Then day two, September 26th, that's all about the charts of the talks, the presentations.
Ah, I see.
And this structure, it really matters. It means you're not, trying to juggle signing up for a practical workshop while some big name speaker is on the main stage. If you need those actionable skills, that practical knowledge, it's all packed into day one, totally separate from the, let's say, broader industry chats on day two.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's actually a huge help for attendees, lets you properly focus on learning skills without feeling like you're missing out elsewhere. So, okay, let's jump straight into day one then, September 25th, the formations. You said training is crucial for them. So where are they focusing? Is it defense, offense, or, a mix reflecting what's happening out there?
It's definitely a mix, and it has to be, right? You need to understand both sides. The lineup seems heavily weighted towards skills you can use immediately, whether you're defending a network or testing its defenses. They kicked off with 3 really technical sessions right out of the gate.
Okay, give us the highlights. What should people absolutely look at if they're deep in the tech side of things?
Well, starting on the defensive side, which
Okay.
is always critical, they have the Forensic Incident Response, or FIR, training that's taught by Antonio Sanz. And it's not just theory. It's about teaching responders how to properly analyze and, well, react right after an attack happens, making sure evidence isn't lost. Which, given how fast threats move now, knowing how to scope things and react properly, it's essential.
Absolutely. And from that essential defense, I imagine they pivot pretty quickly to the offense, since knowing the attack often gives the best defense insights.
Exactly, yeah. So then we move into the, let's call it pure offensive training. The red team formation, that one's led by Eduardo Ariels. The interview mentioned he's not just a pro, but he trains at RootedCON regularly, a habitual trainer. So if you want to deep dive into like modern adversary simulation techniques from someone who really specializes in teaching it, that's the track.
Okay, red teaming. And then logically, that leads right into maybe the biggest target for attackers today, Active Directory. They have a
That's
whole
right.
formation just on attacks to Active Directory, led by Axel Los Santos and Daniel Puente.
Yeah, and if you can't defend your AD, well, everything else is kind of secondary, isn't it? It's still the master key for almost any large network. And when you talk about connecting the dots, technically speaking,
Yeah.
red team training and AD attack training, they go hand in hand. Red teamers are constantly looking for ways to exploit AD trust issues, bad configurations. So by offering these 2 tracks, the organizers are basically saying, look, you need to master how to compromise the central authentication system because that's where the real leverage is in modern pen testing.
I like that focus on what's genuinely relevant, technically. But it seems the organizers also saw this big shift towards intelligence and prep work in security, because they really doubled down on OSINT, open source intelligence. Hang on, the notes say they have 2 separate OSINT formations. That feels like a lot unless they're aimed at totally different people. Why 2?
That's a really good question, actually, and I think it shows they understand their audience isn't monolithic. They seem to recognize that OSINT isn't just one niche skill anymore. It's splitting into different areas. So they have Hami Escudiest teaching a session focused on OPSEC, investigation, and intelligence. That sounds like it's for the more advanced person, right?
Yeah.
Someone already thinking about operational security, tradecraft, staying anonymous while doing high-stakes intel gathering.
Got it. So that's the advanced strategic track.
Exactly. And then for people maybe just starting out in this field, which is growing super fast, there's a dedicated introduction to OSINT. That one's led by Jesser Ferreira. The source just called him a maestro, a master. So it shows they're aiming for quality teaching at all levels, making sure even newcomers get a solid base before, trying to jump into complex dark web stuff.
That decision alone to segment the OSINT training really highlights how critical intel gathering has become. It's not just an afterthought. But training can't just be PowerPoints and talking heads, right?
Yeah.
How do they finish the training day? Does it get hands-on?
Oh, yeah. They wrap day one with pure hands-on application. They call it Cachario, which is kind of like tinkering, getting your hands dirty. The specific formation is hardware hacking with Linux, taught by David Melendez and Gabriela Garcia. This isn't just theory. It's taking devices apart, looking at firmware, trying to exploit them using Linux. And that focus on hardware hacking, it feels very core to the event's vibe, you know? Understanding how things break at a physical level.
And I did see a note about that session, something the organizers pointed out specifically, that this formation helps highlight women in cyber, mentioning another professional, Monica. That's actually a great way to end the training day, mixing deep tech with community focus.
Yeah, that holistic view seems important. It goes beyond just code into physical security, embedded systems, often where the really surprising vulns pop up.
Okay, that paints a really clear picture of day one. Intense technical training, FER, red teaming, AD attacks, and that smart split in OSINT training. So let's switch gears. Day 2, September 26th, the talks, the charlas. The interview mentioned this day covers a lot of ground, un montón de palos. What are the main themes dominating the talks?
Day 2 feels like it takes the skills from day 1 and applies them directly to what's happening right now in the threat landscape. It definitely reflects the biggest headaches financially and organizationally in cyber today.
Like what specifically?
Well, for example, Giuseppe Borse is talking about the rise and fall of info stealers. We often focus on the super complex attacks, but info stealers. They're that high volume, profitable, sort of low-hanging fruit that's tough to fully stop. Understanding their life cycle is pretty key. And naturally, you can't ignore ransomware. There's a dedicated talk on that, too. It's just too prevalent to skip at a cyber conference these days.
Makes sense. And what about something maybe a bit more subtle, but critical for, say, supply chain security? I saw Ivan Cabarrus discussing Sign software. That's a huge potential problem when the trust mechanisms themselves get compromised.
Exactly. It's sort of the next level of exploiting trust, isn't it? Moving beyond simple malware to actually compromising the software updates we depend on. It shows the organizers are looking at those foundational layers of trust that are really under attack right now. And interestingly, we circle back to OSINT, like we saw on day 1, but maybe at a higher level for the talks.
Oh, yeah. Simius Kivius, again, the one who did the OPSEC training. He's back for a talk on day 2, described as super interesting.
Absolutely. His talk is specifically about de-anonymizing profiles on the dark web. So if day 1 taught the how-to with the tools, day 2 shows a high-stakes application. Taking those skills from open source into environments where anonymity is everything, that's, pretty advanced investigative work, connecting those digital breadcrumbs across different hidden platforms.
Okay, but day 2 isn't just serious threat landscape stuff, right? It seems like it also really embraces what the community calls hackerismo puro, the pure hacker culture, the demos, the fun stuff.
Oh, definitely. Gabs, Gabriela Garcia, and David Melendez, the hardware hacking trainers, they return with a session called Nextdoor Drone Warfare Advanced. The interview hinted they'll be showing off some of their mischief, their fecherias, probably live demos, playing with some toys, as the source put it. It takes that day 1 hardware skill and scales it up to things that move, like drones.
That's the kind of dynamic stuff you need at a conference, isn't it? Seeing the theory actually work with real hardware, maybe even things flying around.
It really is. It's the difference between hearing about a vulnerability and seeing someone pop a shell on a device right in front of you. Much more engaging. But maybe the most unique thing, something that tells a bigger story about coding itself, is the inclusion of the Hack the Music project.
Yeah, that one really jumped out at me too. Jorge Martinez presenting a project about electronic music made entirely with code. It's such a cool mix of tech, math, creativity. It kind of suggests the same brain that figures out an AD exploit can also compose music.
It's a fascinating connection, isn't it? It shows the community sees code not just as a weapon or a shield, but also as, well, a creative medium, a way to express yourself.
Right. Okay, before we kind of zoom out and tie this all together, we need the practical bit for you, the listener. With an agenda like this, especially those training spots, they'd probably go fast. Is registration still open for RootedCON Valencia? How do people actually sign up?
Yes, the good news is the source-confirmed registration is still open, but honestly, based on the demand for training like Red Team and FIR, you probably need to act fast. You need to go to the RootedCON website. That's router.com, ROUTERCOM. Find the RootedCON Manager section. Then you just register, follow the steps, payment, the usual process. They said it's straightforward, but yeah, speed is probably key here. This isn't the kind of training that sits around for long.
Perfect. Good to know. So let's connect all these threads. We get this really dense 2-day event, super technical, covering everything from forensics to dark web investigations, drone hacking. Why should you, the listener, care about this specific structure and agenda? What's the big takeaway?
Well, if you connect it back to the bigger picture, remember how the organizers kept mentioning hackerismo puro? Pure hackerism. I think that's the real value here. This event teaches you how to break things, whether it's AD or a drone or something else, because that offensive insight, that's fundamentally what builds real expertise for protection later. You can't really defend effectively against a skilled red team unless you truly understand their playbook, their mindset. This agenda seems designed to give you the most current high-impact information for both sides of that coin, offense and defense.
That's a great way to put it, a perfect synthesis. So we've laid it out. Day 1, September 25th, is formations, FIR, AD attacks, red team, the segmented OSINT. Then day 2, the 26th, is talks covering current threats like info stealers, advanced dark web stuff, drone warfare demos, and even that cool intersection of code and music.
Yeah, it really covers the spectrum of modern cyberculture and practice.
Which leads us perfectly to our final provocative thought. Building on those surprising elements, the Hack the Music project, the next year to drone warfare, we're seeing these highly technical, analytical people move pretty fluidly between exploiting systems, kinetic demos, and artistic creation.
Right, and this raises an important question, doesn't it? What does this mix really tell us about the ultimate skill in cybersecurity? If someone can pivot from finding an auth flaw to composing music with code, maybe the core skill isn't just fluency in Python or knowing CVEs.
Maybe the core transferable skill is actually pattern recognition. Hacking needs you to spot subtle flaws in structure. Music needs you to recognize rhythm and harmony structures. Drone warfare involves spotting flight patterns.
Exactly. Go explore that intersection. Look for the patterns connecting things. We hope this deep dive helps you figure out your next learning steps and maybe see those structural links between attack, defense, and even creation.
We'll catch you on the next one.